One, two, three, four.
Welcome to Interceptor Beyond podcast. My name is Arthur and today my guest is Rich.
So my name is Rich, or actually lots of people call me Ricardo. So I'm switching. And I'm the singer of the Berlin-based band Scream of the Butterfly.
I just want to remind everybody who's listening to this episode right now to follow the show on Spotify or any other podcast platform that you prefer. Thanks. I discovered Scream of the Butterfly some time ago. I don't remember when, but I discovered the album Ignition, and I really liked the vocals, and I really liked that it was like really cool to get into the muscle car and drive at the top speed in the desert. I really liked the Hammond organ, the whole energetic atmosphere. That's what I liked about that album. Can you tell us a little bit how it all started?
Yes. So thanks for your words. Ignition, actually all the two albums we did, but also Ignition, I like it still very much. And this album the band was founded in 2016 with 3 band members, and then we turned to 4. And the way we made music back then was we had lots of grunge influences in the band. We had also some 70s vibes. And me as a singer, I'm always switching between some 60s vibes and some modern vocal style and modern way of playing and producing music. So on my end, I'm not so much into the technical stuff, so more into what I feel when I do the music. By the time we recorded this album, we felt it will be a fast album. The whole procedure of recording it, I mean, not the way we wrote the songs, but the whole way we recorded it was kind of fast in contrast to the second album we did. So, and it gave this album some momentum. Also, there's some lyrics on it, like on the song Miss the Break, that's obvious, could be related to driving, even though it's actually not. There's always some background to all the songs. And actually, all the songs that we write, I write the lyrics, they have actually more depth in them than you can probably hear when you listen to the songs for the first time. It's kind of like both, you know, you don't have to dig so deep to the songs. You can just have fun listening to the music, but there's mostly more in those songs than just, let's say, road trip rock and roll music, you know. So, but with Ignition, we kind of like had a nice concept, like founding a very nice studio here in Berlin, big snuff studio. And we found like the mixing and sound engineer for Cadaver, and it gave a certain sound to everything. For example, we recorded the songs and then we put them into this tape machine. So it gave this whole album a warmer sound. So we used a lot of analog technic stuff, amps and everything to make it sound a bit raw or rough. And then also with Branca Studio, is a designer from Spain, we had this nice cover artwork, which gave this whole album this Quentin Tarantino feel, like in the end, you know. All those songs, like the song, for example, Evil Feelings, yeah, or Miss the Break or Turning Me Loose, there is kind of like, there's a lot of kind of like some emotion in the momentum. Like if you are on the way to something, if you are speeding up, whatever you do, or if you're in a rush, or if you caught in a moment in a club or anything, you know. So it's it speeds up, the whole album speeds up with the first song, Solid Ground, and it reaches you to the end with Can't Go Back, which is kind of like a rock ballad that is actually the only contrast, you know. Up to this point, it's kind of like you get swirled around left to right, to and fro. And that's actually what we wanted. And that's why in the end, we're very happy to have an album that you start listening to and that kicks you through to the end, you know.
Awesome. Actually, Evil Feelings is one of my favorite songs there. That's why it's cool that you mentioned it.
Thanks.
How did you come across the Cadaver guy?
Well, Richard Behrens is a good friend of us here in Berlin, and so the scene is not too big, so we know each other. And he had some free space because he wasn't on tour with Cadaver. So we just asked him, and it fits into the music, and that's why we got this connection, and it worked out very well. So we were very happy to spend the time with him, you know, and to record this album. and mix it. Yes.
You said not a small scene. I mean, I would believe that Berlin is one of the top scenes in Europe. At least it's considered outside of Berlin. What do you mean? Like it's like not a big scene in your music genre? I know musicians don't like music genres, but
I mean, it's always hard to define the music genre we are in, or like somebody else classifies himself or itself to be in. But mainly, you know, when you talk about this kind of rock music, it's always this stoner rock, desert rock scene. You know, it's like the main scene here. I mean, there are some, of course, some other influences, but everybody knows each other. Everybody is actually supporting each other, going to the concerts. So that's why, in the end, yeah, it's small because it looks like family when you meet each other. You know, that's why I probably think small, even though there's lots of record labels, lots of bands, and lots of other artists in this genre. To me, it feels probably more close because I'm here for forever in Berlin.
You live in Berlin for a long time, right? You're not Berlin native.
Yeah, I'm Berlin native.
Oh, okay.
But I was born in the GDR, so in the eastern part of Berlin. So actually, I'm the truest what you can get when you think of Berlin. And actually, that's why all the musicians I work with and also friends always tell me that this Berlin behavior, and you know, I can't get rid of it. You know, it's like this a bit, how you say that, bit rough behavior. You know,
too direct.
Yeah, sometimes too direct. You know, it's like sometimes good to not to shut your mouth. You know, but that's me. That's my personality.
So probably like in Scandinavian countries, somewhere in Finland, you're a little bit like too much for the local people.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, I have a Swedish friend, and you know, don't cross the line. So we get along very well.
And Branca Studio, were you looking for them, or you just knew about the studio?
No, we were looking for them because when we started doing this band, our bass player Sergei, he had this contact in Rome, in Italy, to the people around heavy psych sounds, you know, Gabriele. And they had a sub-label called Burning Rex Productions. So this whole desert rock scene in Rome was kind of like a door opener for us because of our bass player. So that's why we got involved in all those people in the scene. And then we got this contact to Branca and looked at his work and said, okay, it fits to the style of album we would like to create, you know, keep it simple, keep it like driven, you know, road trip feeling. It actually was the first artwork we saw, and we said, that's it, no questions about it. I mean, that's what we wanted.
That's how I discovered you. I immediately saw the artwork. I was like, okay. And I was back then really into this stoner rock, or at least I was digging in that direction. And then I saw the cover. I was like, all right, let's check it out. And then I checked it out, and it was exactly what I wanted. I was like, it was perfect.
Yes.
And yeah, it actually proves about the thing that everything, the personal connections are really important in the music industry. Maybe like even more than in other, okay, I'm not really sure, but in music industry for sure.
Yes, of course. Very important. There's also lots of stuff you can do by yourself. I mean, you know, actually, I'm from, like, when I speak of my person, you know, I'm kind of like a lone ranger in the way I am, even though I team up with my bandmates and everything. But I like to get as much done by myself as possible, because then I kind of like know it's the truest product I can get to, you know, or like we as a band, music wise, but you know what I mean, like the organization stuff. But of course, you know, you get your limits, and you always know there are so many people around that can do certain stuff far better than I can, you know. So
you never tried to have management or representation?
No, actually, it didn't happen. Now we are at this production of the third album, and we are teaming up with more people right now. So we still do some stuff by ourselves. Management is not a key factor right now. So probably we will buy into a promotion agency or something like this. Kind of like keep it for ourselves, what we do, and just, but we never know. So, you know, I don't want to jump from the first album to the third now, but we are looking for people that help us. We have found some. We are working together with a production. No, not production. I think a production company. And also we have a booking agency that is helping us out with certain gigs now, Europe-wise. And so we are planning lots of stuff right now, but also want to achieve to get the balance of how much can we do by ourselves.
Actually, like you reminded me, like jumping from the first album to the third one, I wanted to even jump even backwards. You did a gig with Buzzcocks, right?
Yes.
How was it? I mean, it's the Buzzcocks. It's awesome.
Oh, that was very overwhelming because here in Berlin there's a punk booking agency. It's called Mutti's Booking. Mutti means like mom, and he doesn't want to be called by his name. He wants to be called Mom, like Mutti. It's a very nice dude. And he just, I asked him because I knew him from my former bands where I was going more in the indie direction. So that's why we knew each other for a long time. And he gave us the possibility to play at SO36 in front of like hundreds of people. And that was really awesome. The band itself was a bit self-centered. So we couldn't hang out with them actually, because like doors closed and champagne for themselves. And so we said hello, but was kind of like, oh, fucking guys, leave us alone, you know. They were nice, but it was kind of like, don't talk to us. I mean, it was kind of like interesting also because it was kind of like really a superior behavior, you know what I mean? Like we are the big stars.
Was it the first time you met somebody? Like, I mean, they're like stars, you know, but was it the first your experience with stars?
Yeah, I think like playing on a show with big bands, I think that was the first time, yes.
But what's your impression after all of this? Like, it's fine or like?
Yes, yeah. You look at it on a different perspective. I mean, it was the second gig that we had, you know, and I was playing. I mean, I had other difficulties. I wanted to play electric guitar, and I did it on this gig for 2 songs. And afterwards, my guitar player said, "Ricardo, you can do a lot of things, you know, but just please leave out the guitar." So my main focus was to get it, you know, kind of like get it going, get the gig, like to play a good show. But the whole thing, like the way it was constructed, the booking, the way the audience was, they were in a very good mood, and the promotion. So it was kind of like something that I learned from this gig, you know, rather than having this big party or whatever, you know. It's like I was looking at on it on a different perspective.
So what you learned, what's the most important thing that you learned from that gig?
You see that lots of stuff that the booking agents do, you know, is built up on the work they did for like years. So you see, like in the end, it's a simple process. You know, it seems to be simple. You know, they have a band that's playing. It's actually almost the same thing as if you would play in a small venue and organize everything. It's just like pumped up, you know. And of course, the spirit and the people, the audience, everything is bigger and has more impact on you, you know. But the process itself is pretty similar. And you know, I learned more from the bandmates I played with during the last 5 years than from this gig, because to me, I'm not so much into amplifiers and all that stuff. So my biggest fear is always if something is not working, you know. So because my mind is totally set on different stuff music wise, so I rely on people that make this whole gear running. Of course, to me, it's like, well, yeah, big stage, lots of amps, and hope everything is working. And for example, my bass player, he always calms me down and says, I got everything under control, you know. So it's kind of like this team, you know. You learn something because, you know, everything relies on having a team within the band and adding some people to the band, you know, and everybody has his position. And if you can trust each other and he knows what to do or she knows what to do, then things are working. Yeah. So, and I think I learned just to have a good time all the time, you know.
You said you're not into amplifiers, but what's your thing?
I mean, I am into amplifiers a little bit. I have a Leslie amp, a 7060. From the 70s, and I'm really happy about this Leslie amp for my Nord keyboard, which is my Hammond organ or e-piano. And I have some gear, you know, but I think I keep it simple, you know, so it sounds good. I like it. And if I go into the studio, I like to have somebody advising me about different instruments and different synthesizers and everything. I like to try stuff out. But my main focus is always that the music itself needs to sound good. Probably in my head, it's the songwriting, it's the lyrics, it's the mood the music creates. And then I find the people, because I can always, as simple as it is, I can say I like the sound or I don't like the sound, but I probably cannot always say why I don't like the sound. But I have people that can do it the way that I like it, that they like it, and that we like it as a band, you know.
You never paid for a feedback. If you have a song and you paid somebody to give you a feedback.
Oh, no. Why should I do that? No, it's not the fame steps that are that we need to climb or whatever, you know. We had some reviews or reviews on Ignition and some on Birthdays Repeat, our second album, but they weren't paid. Yeah, probably it's different when you pay a promotion agency. Then it's something like that, you know. But
No. I mean, when you have a song that you're like working on and you're not sure about how it sounds, and then you ask somebody's opinion, but somebody's that completely outside of your circle. So there's like they can tell you the honest thing.
No, I don't. I'm not. Me as a singer, like I speak for myself. I'm not interested in that because I know if the song sounds good. I know if I can, if I think that the lyrics fit, you know, and even if it takes forever because there's one word missing. Because sometimes I'm just standing in the forest for an hour in the night after rehearsal, and I'm looking at the moon and I'm looking for this one word. So that's like my passion, you know. And once I'm done and I see, okay, the lyric works and the music, which is mainly made by ourselves, it's like music comes first, then the lyrics are added most of the time. Things are changing a bit right now. Then I know that the song is good. It needs to sound good in the end. So that's like the thing that I need advice on, you know. So that somebody says, okay, Ricardo, your Hammond organ sounds good, but it's a bit thin. We have to try a different microphone or something like this, you know. Or you're playing a little bit too fast because you're always a bit too fast. Something like that, you know, relax, dude. So this is the help that I wish for, and this is the help that I like. So I can, you know, that's why I'm not so much into studio. I'm more into live. I'm more a live musician. Yes, I would never advise. I can ask my bandmates, you know. So
yeah, I saw you live. You once came to Vienna. I remember. You look really cool on stage. Like the whole act, really energetic. Really fits the music of how how you personally like on stage and how everybody in the band on stage behave. Well, not behave, but like look and everything.
I know what you mean. Yeah, and I mean, I have this keyboard at the front, you know, like Hammond organ, whatever, pianos. I don't play so much because I tried to get both in this front person, you know, like being a guy that is moving around because I have to move. And yes, yeah, I like it that this band works in itself with the position everybody has, you know, like I love the attitude of my bass player. I love the attitude of my guitar player and our drummer. And everybody has this passion, but nobody is taking or giving too much room, kind of like, you know what I mean? And even though it's when you saw us in Vienna, there was our former guitar player. We have a new guitar player now that is more active on stage. So it's the whole live picture you get when you see a show of Scream of the Butterfly is a bit more wild. It's even getting in the direction that I could or can or probably will do a little bit less because there's more movement from the sides now, you know. So, and if I would do so much, then it would kind of like, you know, overdo this whole thing because the whole music that that we are doing, you know, that's always, and maybe I can shortly or quickly say something about the name of the band. It's actually the main reason when we started with this band. Scream of the Butterfly. Scream of the Butterfly is a lyric line by Jim Morrison. That was a big influence. The Doors, like, to me, is a big influence, you know. But the name itself, like Scream of the Butterfly, kind of like describes that the music is very energetic and then gets very self-centered and very introverted, you know, at parts, you know, which you can especially here in our second album where we have more ballads. There's like a song, The Devil Is By My Side, and it's very forward and loud and has a bit Sabbath feeling. And then you have Soul Giver, which is totally the opposite. So that's actually what this band mainly is about, to scream and shout, kind of like, you know, give a lot of energy and also, on the other hand, to show actually also very many emotions, which we try to build up in the future with the future albums, to really go to close your eyes and let it fly.
Would you say that you have how many albums? You have 2 albums at the moment,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yeah. So the first album was already like really energetic, and the next one, can we say it's more energetic in a way, or it's different?
It's. I mean, I can quickly say something about the second album because it's very, very a lot of story around it. The second album was actually kind of like the end of this band in the way the band was working. Our drummer and our guitar player left the band, and we still have a very good contact, and we get along very well. But they wanted to do different projects, so we came at a point that we said, okay, let's do an album. And I was sitting at home, and I was like, how can I give this album a name? Because in the end, they just wanted to record the songs, and I wanted to make it special. I said, I don't want to give up on this band. But I knew the feeling was so intense that we shared, and I was really wondering. And then I came up with this title, Birth, Death, Repeat, which actually gave the second album the name and the meaning, that we recorded this album with a kind of tragic feeling. That's why this album is a bit different from the first one. Because while we recorded this album, we knew the band in this way would not exist after the album, So it's kind of like the death, but also the birth. And that's why I came to you and I'm so happy still. Every day I look at this cover artwork, I see that you did an amazing job. You gave so many emotions into this little artwork with this skeleton mother, and that symbolizing the death, and also the carrying the child in her arms. And this is kind of like really the effect, probably also with the artwork to keep up with this kind of like stoner rock scene. So it was kind of like also to say, yes, we wanted to reach the fans that we already had, but also the fans in the scene with kind of like this artwork. And it's very interesting because lots of people see this and don't expect this kind of music in the whole album, because it's more concept in it. Yeah. And then we had those 7 songs that we wrote together, and also an instrumental track by me, and then a blues version that we did as a last song. I've seen it coming with my bass player.
So once you know that there's a concept of Birth, Death, Repeat, you edit more songs, or all the songs were there?
Actually, all the songs were now. We added a Soul Giver, because then I added this instrumental track, Birth, Death, Repeat, which is the first track on the B side, because then I knew this sounds totally opposite to what people probably would expect, because this instrumental track is kind of like as if the sun would go rise, So it's really what I wanted, and what we in the end as a band came up with was to have very strong emotions, very strong riffs and guitar heavy riffs and heavy grunge music that we presented, and also and probably also the way that we knew we split up as a band gave this whole album kind of like a bit more dark, or a bit more touch of gloominess, in contrast to Ignition.
And in contrast to Ignition, what changed in production, or maybe did anything in the process, or how was it?
The production changed because we knew we wanted to get this album done, but I wanted to have more time. I said, okay, Ignition was kind of like a spin-off, but it worked so good. But it's kind of like, and even though if I think back, 8 days recording, and we did actually a pretty good job. Probably we caught some feelings, some magic that in the end, if we would have had a longer process of recording, we couldn't catch, So, but I wanted to have more time because I wanted to spend more. It's kind of like family. I wanted to spend more time with the musicians that I knew would be leaving the band, and that's why we like to have this. I think we recorded like for 5 months or stuff, So even skipping some days and then meeting again and then listening again, and we did it in our rehearsal room. So we recorded the drums in the studio, but the rest we did here. Then we went to Hamburg and mixed the album, and then we mastered the album at Mike Tarsia at Philadelphia.
And I think you released the album right before the pandemic hit, right?
Yes, it was kind of strange. I was a bit overstressed with everything, knowing that it's my own, or our own record label, Red Revolver Records, that we came up with, or it kind of like, the focus on finding so many people that help you in a process when you split up, it was very, very heavy to get everything done. So my main focus was, okay, let's try to promote the album as good as you can. So in the moment that the pandemic started and I couldn't play this little tour and the release show, I was kind of like, all right, it's actually not good. But on the other hand, I have so much time now to reach all the people on the global, and try to sell the album. So that was actually my job then, So and sitting in the basement and writing all those little notes and thank you notes, on the cards and adding some stickers, and so it made me feel so good that I even kind of forgot that I couldn't play live for a while,
So you got occupied by like putting all the merch together and sending. What else did you do to promote? How you said you reached everybody? What did you do actually?
Well, we could have done far better promoting the album. So we could have brought into a promotion agency, but we tried to get some. But they really, because of the pandemic, they were so screwed in their heads. So they couldn't plan. And they said, okay, we have a release, but we skip it now into the fall. And I said, oh, come on. They are so, it's harder to get in this. It was March 2020. For me, it was kind of like, it's harder to try to work together with somebody that is totally unsecure right now because of this whole pandemic, as if I say, okay, let's try to do it yourself. Because I did Kickstarter, crowdfunding, which actually worked pretty good. We got some, I think, 2,500 euros or so, with also lots of friends, and so lots of people, fans, and bought an album before it was released. And then we switched to Bandcamp, and then we got to know some other record labels, for example, one in Ohio, Seeing Red Records, and they helped us out. So we are building kind of like from the roots. We started to build this little scene for ourselves, like a label. But then I knew with more help, we could have done better. But in the end, now, I mean, we were writing songs for 2 years now. We found a new drummer. We found a new guitar player. I was so occupied being in this room right now that I think the band has achieved a certain level that I'm fine with at this stage I'm in right now, like looking at, not even also looking at the numbers, but it's honest rock music that we do, it's nothing, it's nothing that when I look back that I think, oh man, I could have done this differently and it would have worked out better. I probably could have promoted more, like found somebody that helped me out. And I think that I could have invested a bit more. But in the end, I'm so grateful for all the fans that gave us some feedback and still do. And so the process itself, the music, the whole thing around it feels very natural, feels very good. And that's why, it's the way it probably was supposed to go.
And you mentioned crowdfunding. Have you done this before?
No, I haven't. I watched some influencer guy from Canada, and I said to myself, okay, let's try it. Because if you want some money, because you don't have so much money for yourself, and you reach out to the fans that will, of course, support you, then you have just one hand of money that you can hold, But there's also family, and there's also lots of friends that actually, they listen to different type of music, but they say, okay, I grab a shirt, I grab a vinyl, and I support you. And there were some friends that they don't listen to this type of music, but they sit at home with their wife and their kids, and they're building their house, and they say, hey, you're a friend of mine, I give you 100 euros. So it wasn't so much like supporting the music, it was like more supporting a friend. So that's why Kickstarter is actually a very cool thing to grab some extra money.
Yeah, that's what I tell to people. Like, crowdfunding is not only to get money from the potential fans or fans in general, but it's actually a legitimate way how to get money from friends and family, because they see where the money is going, at least, it's not like you go one by one and, asking for money for this project. What didn't you expect when you were doing the crowdfunding?
Well, I didn't expect that some people were supporting me that actually only supported me because they were on Kickstarter and also only supported projects. I could expect that some people will support our music or me as a friend, but that there are people who just invest money in general to support crowdfunding projects. I wasn't expecting that. So I think 500 euros or 400 or 500 euros were people that weren't so much in the music, they were into the crowdfunding stuff.
And what was the hardest part of the crowdfunding campaign?
Well, actually, it's to me it felt like an unnatural process to do this. So it was the hardest part was to get it going, and it's hard to describe. I mean, to go to your friends and say, "Hey, come on!" But it's the hardest part is actually to convince yourself that promoting your own music is nothing bad. I think it's something that I, as a musician, learn. I'm still learning it. Over the time, over the months and the years, because as I told you, not so much interested into studio equipment, blah blah blah, but more I'm more interested in this kind of way besides writing or making music or playing live. Just if you stand behind your product and you think it's good music, and I think that the 2 records we did was the best we could do. It's like I think it's we did some honest and good music. If you're standing behind your music and your own creation, then you shouldn't be ashamed of anything. Just promote it. And even if you talk to somebody one time to many, it's like it's not bad if somebody says, "Hey, come on, I'm not interested." Okay, no problem. But I think that was the hardest part, to learn that you promote yourself. And to watch like artists like Freddie Mercury, who was probably one of the biggest promoters in time, and to see that it felt totally natural the way he promoted all his music. And I think that was a step to be taken. It was and I'm still learning, because right now we are at a point that we are stuck in this room forever writing those songs. And right now we are in the beginning of going into the studio, and then we will, like with this podcast, for the first time, like go out again, and talk to people, promote stuff. And when we are in the studio, like in our rehearsal room and writing songs, we don't put so many stories out on Instagram or everything, because it's a process kind of like for ourselves. So we do some posts about some live recordings or some past stuff, or our merch store, some videos. But all the songs that we are writing, they are our secret until they will be revealed.
You got featured in many cool magazines. I saw all the interviews and everything, especially for for all the album. Actually, any advice how to get featured in a magazine?
Well, actually, I think with the second album, I didn't do such a good job to get featured in a magazine, because we didn't have a promotion agency. So with the first album, there was far more. And yes, we had this little promotion agency from Italy that helped us out with his contacts. But I think I cannot give so much advice to it, because this is also a process that I'm learning still. But I think to get featured in magazines, you need to get on a label that is promoting you. Or if you want to do it the different way, for example, like in our position, if I like to keep running this own label as a band, then we would need to buy into a promotion agency. So I cannot give more advice. I probably, I like, from my perspective, I cannot give more advice. I mean, as many people as can probably help you if you support each other in the scene, So this is also something that works. But in the end, I think if you want to invest some money, I think as a musician, don't think too much only on the studio and the mixing and the mastering, because it's so fucking important to do the promotion, like, and the pre-release and also the post-release, once the album is out, and you need to have a plan on how to release on Spotify, with a release radar and everything. So there's lots of little techniques that you can learn to promote yourself, but you have to like it, have to get into it. Otherwise, I really recommend to have somebody doing it for you, because otherwise you release the album, it's gone.
Would you agree that the promotion costs almost the same amount as the production and recording of the album?
I think I would invest the same.
So 1-to-1. So it's like same money that you spent on the studio and recording.
Yeah.
Is the same money goes into the promotion.
Yeah, for example, if you want to invest like, I don't know, 3,000 euros in a studio, then I also would invest 3,000 euros in promotion.
And you mentioned several times that you have your own record label. So what was the decision behind that?
I still don't know. I created it, and then I worked together with Seeing Red Records, and then there was this deal. Hey, come on, dude, you can help us out in Germany, and you can be our hub, because during this Corona pandemic, it was so different to send records, but you could send a big parcel, So I was like thinking, okay, I could help. I could like climb more into this label stuff. Then my little basement would be full of different records, and I would probably earn some money. It's still in my head. It's something that I'm still thinking about because there are some good bands, and I'm like, okay, they release on Bandcamp only a digital version of their album. I'm so, oh my God, I should do something, the music is so good. So I have no idea, but I didn't even create a Bandcamp page or anything for this label, only on Discogs. I did this Red Revolver Records. So it's something that could probably grow in the future, but right now it's just the label of the band. It's like, I want to look at the numbers. I would like to get as much back from the music as I invested, or as we as a band invest. And this way, fucking hell, I sound like an influencer. No, but it's kind of like, we did 2 albums already, and we want to do a 3rd one. And so we're thinking about money and thinking how to spend our money wisely, and to how can you grow in a return, of investment, so to say. So and we all know it's we are not getting rich by all what we do. You know what I mean? It's the passion that all combines us musicians in this whole scene. So So right now it's the label, because you need the label code. You have the kind of like barcode, the UCP, I think it's called, on the back. And you have the ISRC code for the tracks and everything, it's to just properly get tracked when you want to get some return on a digital distribution, for example, So just trying to do it properly by ourselves right now, and maybe later on I can do something else with it.
And you made your own company probably, right? For the label.
The label, yes. The label is one-man label.
Yeah, one person entrepreneurship. And what's different for the band when you have your own label?
But I have to say one thing. It doesn't mean that we will use this label right now. We are still looking for other labels. So it's but it might come to the point that we use our own label.
So it's like a backup label. I mean, if you need to,
it's kind of like a backup label. It depends what another label can offer us, Because right now, when I have some knowledge, so I think like investing in a promotion agency would probably give me better results than having a label that is not paying for the studio. So it's if I wouldn't have any knowledge, I would probably totally rely on a label. But on the other hand, if there's a bigger label that has more contacts, of course, then you say like, and there's also a possibility to do a split label thing, like for example, Seeing Red Records offered us to help us out, and probably it could happen that we might do a USA release with an USA label and do the Red Revolver label for ourselves also, So, but it's not sure yet. So it's something to think about.
I'm interested now. What are you working now? Like you're working on the 3rd album?
Yes. So for 2, I can say that we have found a drummer from Italy and a guitar player from Vienna. In the big, it was the first. Actually, it all happened when Birth, Death, Repeat was released. Now it happened from January to the summer that we found the 2 musicians. We were even going on tour with our guitar player, Gabriel, and we were having 3 gigs in January, I think, in 2020, and then it was over. And then we found our drummer, Andrea, and we had this Keith Moon in this band all of a sudden, like, Andrea. So, and also this influences from the guitar player that is also had this little 70s rock attitude, but also lots of more 60s passion. And I was like, wow, this band has the same momentum, but it speeds up even more. So I'm like, this is getting wild now. So even though, we are here in our room, it's like, okay, this band is getting wild because, I was always the wildest musician in this band, and the three musicians I was playing with, they were very quiet, as a from personality. Now with Andrea in the band, it's like wild. So it's so much fun. It's so much energy. It's when we do the music, and we wrote lots of songs, and some songs were written by our guitar player. Some songs are written by me. Lots of songs were written together, and I think it's a very interesting album that we are working on right now. It will go back a little bit to Ignition with this, with this kind of like momentum. It will put some more 60s vibes into the album, and more different types of keys. And I think there will be also some little surprises, like that the band is in the process of growing, So because that's actually Scream of the Butterfly is not a typical stoner rock band. So it doesn't mean that we create totally new music or just try out different types of music styles. But it's kind of like we want to do we are a little bit also influenced by classic rock music. So when we promote an album or we just release an album, we want to have the listener to see, okay, there's something on it that I can rely on of the past records, but there's also few tracks, wow, I'm a little bit surprised, didn't expect that, But still, the main aim is that the songs will be connected again, even though they might be a little bit different. So you still have this compact album that gives you the feeling of I can listen from the beginning to the end, and it just picks me up, And this is where the sound comes into play. This is so important that then when we mix and everything that we see, okay, different types of songs will be connected,
And well, actually, I never considered your band as a stoner rock, because in my mind, stoner rock is it's slower. Yours more like rock and roll.
It's more rock and roll.
It's more rock and roll and influenced by stoner rock. But
I think I got distracted by this whole thing, because wherever you go into the whole groups, Facebook and so, it's always this style of stoner rock where you kind of like fall into as a headline of music in general, I mean, today stoner rock is everything that is rock. It seems like, or desert rock, so but I know what you mean. It's totally not stoner rock, and there's so many other influences like Imperial, State Electric, Queens of Stone Age,
Yeah. And what's funny is that Josh Homme, he says, I don't really understand stoner rock. We just played in the field, in the desert, and we just played our music, and now everybody took this genre and made it like a stoner rock. But I don't get it, they say.
Yeah. We don't define ourselves as any type. That's why we have influences from the 70s rock music. We have influences from grunge vibes. For example, my biggest influence as a singer on a stage is Scott Weiland. So it's the guy that to me just fulfilled being a frontman and just put all the passion into his body, the way he moved and the way he sang. And so it's still, when I see the videos, I'm like, okay, this guy, he devoted himself so much to the creative process itself that probably that's why he just totally got confused with everything around him, So always a very, very big influence for me. And that's why this music is not stoner rock at all. So
do you practice a live show at home or something like this, like the moves or something like this, or practice in front of the mirror?
Yes.
Well, you're actually one of the few people who actually does it, and I tell everybody that actually you should do this.
I cannot do it differently. So I need to dress up at home sometimes, totally with everything. And I start I mean, there's no music, and I'm not even singing, but I like to see how my shoulder is going to the front, or my leg, or how I'm moving. And I like to have mimic on my face, So it's something I'm playing around with. I mean, we don't play so many gigs, obviously, right now, to improve all those stuff, because actually actually it's always the moment, and it's your personality. I'm like this, you know. I cannot stand still on stage and tap my fingers on my leg or whatever to have a metronome, you know. I mean, I could kill myself if I would act like this. So I need to have this little movement from, for example, from Joe Cocker, you know. He always had his arms, you know, and for me, it's like there's the saying that music is the kind of like an lengthened arm of your soul, you know, kind of like. So and to me, music is not the way you sing, but it reaches your fingertips. And the moment where you forget yourself on stage, you know what I mean? Then you do everything right. So, and there's personalities that stand still and they overwhelm you with their personality. And but I'm the way I am. I cannot stand still, and I don't even care if somebody likes it or not. It's in this way. I try to be as good as I like to play good. I try to have the band in the focus, you know, have a good feeling, and then we are in the moment. And I think that's what everybody is searching for.
Yeah, when I saw you on the stage, I was like a little bit afraid maybe that you're gonna take the Hammond organ and you're gonna smash it into the audience, because the energy was going through the hands into the piano, and maybe you would even throw it somewhere. Maybe it's possible in the future gigs. I don't know. No, it was in a good way. It was, everything was so energetic. It was so cool.
You know, you never know. It depends. I mean, if I'm on a big stage and I have a lot of money, then I just kick it, you know. But I wouldn't kick it into the people. Don't want to hurt anybody. But it's something that probably happens out of an effect, yeah, so to say. But it's not something that like the Who did on purpose, like destroying some instruments. I think it's not. This is also not me, you know. I like to do front kicks.
Well, you can tie the piano to the bouncing thing or whatever. Like, I think Rammstein had it or something like this.
Yeah, I mean there are some moves here that you can do, you know, like have a keyboard stand that and your keyboard is going like in an angle, you know, and you play like from the side or something. I mean, it's like sometimes I tape it and then I can move it better, you know. And when I do a solo with one hand, I can lift it with the left arm and just play it as a guitar. And actually, I had a former band for 10 years that I played. I mean, it's maybe strange for somebody that listens to this podcast, but I was playing in an indie rock band for 10 years and I had a guitar.
Oh,
yeah. In the 2000s, I played with a guitar and there was a Hammond organ on it, you know. So it was more like looked a bit more indie glam style. I don't know, glam rock indie style. It's strange, maybe.
And then you said it's not enough. Let's do something real rock and roll.
Yeah, I like to have this keyboard standing there. I mean, and also it depends on the way you set up your stage. For example, if I play in a small pub, you know, I don't have to stand in the middle. It's the music is always working for itself. So, for example, bass player, guitar player stand in the middle, and I'm standing on the left side, you know, and I can put this keyboard on the wall. This would work as well.
Have you ever taken like a light technician with you, you know, to do the lights on the tour?
I mean, we didn't yet. What we did is we made some lights for ourselves. We could remote it for ourselves with a foot switch. And we had with, I don't know, it's called stroboscope, like flickering light and stuff. Yeah, so we had some beams that we adjusted. And so with different solos, we could just, you know, do our own light show. Yeah, but that's something that we would probably need for the future. Also like a sound engineer that is helping us out.
Sound engineer and then lights and everything. So probably your crew is gonna get bigger a bit.
Yes. When the band improves, when the team improves, there will probably be somebody with us, because it's also for me as a singer, I need totally secureness that this whole technique stuff works. It's not a big deal if something is not working, you know. There's always some side songs you can play and you can have fun and you can even be honest and say, okay, come on, guys, grab yourself a beer. It's, no, we got some issues here. It's not a big deal, but and also to put some delay on the vocals, or it's good to have somebody, you know. It's actually better.
It seems that you want everything to be precise, in control, so that when you're on stage, you can completely go loose.
Yeah, as far as it gets, but I also don't want to be over precise. So you know, if the monitor sound sucks all of a sudden, then I'm not standing like raising my thumbs, you know, to say a bit louder, you know. That's the way it is. Then it's rock and roll time. Then you say, okay, I'm doing my best, you know, because in the end, it's entertainment for the people. Yeah, and they paid some money to get a good show. So soundcheck time is over, and if something happens, let's have a good time. Let's get it over with.
Yeah, your live show, so like the one that I saw live personally, was great. I really enjoyed it. So what are your plans for this year?
Thanks. Many plans. So actually, yes, now is the time that we are probably working every day. So we have those songs finished. We chose nine or 10 tracks out of 15 songs we wrote. We're very satisfied as a band. We are very close connected right now, and we are going into the studio in March, and we are doing the pre-productions right now, which will probably be dual to the studio session. We are still working on the pre-productions because then the songs on the pre-productions are ready and we can add some effects and see how this could sound in the real studio production, So there's lots of time that we spend together right now, and also thinking on how to release and to find a video team that is doing a video with us to see how we could also do some videos by ourselves, even if it's a studio video or later on a tour video. And then we have some help from two booking agents, and we are looking to play some shows here in Germany, might reach different countries. The aim for this year is that the third record will be released in fall. You never know what happens, and probably it might be later. But the aim is that we are doing right now. We got everything we need, and now the work begins. Now the passion is still there, and we're looking forward to going to the studio. But the songs are done, so now it's recording time.
Any plans to have gigs in summer, or when are your next gigs?
So I think the next gig is in summer, in June. It's a festival here in Berlin. Not in Berlin, I'm sorry, in a city called Halle. And as far as I know, we are headlining this show, but I didn't get more facts right now. So yeah, there will be some gigs in the summertime, but I think it won't be too many because we are so focused on the album that not playing gigs right now, even though it sucks, it's not so bad right now because we want to do a good album. It takes so much time. Yeah. And we want to give it as much time that we can. Yeah. So actually for us, it's sufficient if we play some gigs over the summertime and then in fall, we play a tour. This is our aim.
Have you tried to contact already like the labels, like through connections or like doing cold calls or anything with the new music?
Yes, and we didn't try yet because we are finishing 4 pre-production songs right now. I think they will be done in this week. And with those 4 kind of like demo songs, we will reach the labels.
And are you going to reach the labels in Berlin, Germany, or like outside, or any, or you start just the process of like usual?
I don't know yet. I probably will first of all try to send it to people that like our music, that give us advice to the labels, and they are worldwide. There's some in the USA or in England and in Italy, and maybe they say, yeah, that sounds good. I can give you a good contact. It's kind of like I'm probably going this direction. It doesn't matter if it's a Berlin label or a different label. I mean, of course, here in Germany, in Berlin, the last record we did, we were pressing by ourselves in a pressing plant. So this album was released on point. Like relying on another label could also mean that your vinyl will be, So as much as and then I just repeat myself, as much as I can do by myself will give me the chance that things will be ready in time for our fans,
There's so many questions I wish I could ask, but we're almost out of time. Where can people follow the Scream of the Butterfly?
Well, the main channels obviously are the Spotify channel, for example, or the other different platforms than Instagram and Facebook. And we have a YouTube channel that is very good. There's some different playlists, like videos with picture and also the albums. You can listen to the playlist of the albums. And then we just did a web page. So go to screamofthebutterfly.org. And this is our new web page with our new photos. And actually, that's the best place to be because you have everything you need on this one page, screamofthebutterfly.org.
I'm a strong believer in websites. I think they're coming back. They're the new Facebook, new Instagram, because all the platforms can change, but your website will not.
Yeah, and that's why I say we have a newsletter, and I totally advise everybody to sign up for this newsletter or this mailing list, because this is like the best kind of like social media that you can have. It's the most direct way to go to the band and to get. We don't send so many emails, but the emails that we send, they have like all the important information.
And also the newsletter is really important if you want to get a good deal. If you're a fan of the music, it's a good occasion to get a good deal. If there's some discounts when there you have a bundle of merchandise,
Yes.
that's one of the main ideas why newsletter is important, why you need to be on that newsletter.
Yeah.
Which song are we going to hear at the end of the episode?
Solid Ground Shaken. Yeah, which probably gives a nice picture of the way the band could sound with the third album.
Ricardo, thank you very much for this interview. It was a blast.
Thank you so much for your questions.
Thank you for listening to Interceptor Beyond podcast. Don't forget to follow the show wherever you listen to podcasts, and if you like what you're hearing, rate the show on Spotify or any other podcast platform that you prefer.